All right. I think we're back. Uh didn't move anywhere. We just sat around, right? Because for whatever reason, I think my ISP decided to crap out this time. I don't think it was OBS, but for whatever reason, for like a good solid 5 minutes, ISP just decided, hey, I'm just gonna unplug now. So here we are. We're back again. Gonna try to complete our session today. What time is it? 1:15 a.m. Yeah, these things happen. And you can't do much about the ISP. Here we go. I'll complete the rest here. This time I was prepared. It's very unfortunate that I haven't experienced this. I usually experience the ISP cutout maybe once every 6 or so months. And then recently, not that long ago, last month, I experienced OBS crapping out. So I hope this doesn't become more of a regular thing. It's actually quite inconvenient. This time I remember to like start and stop so that things are synchronized. The last time it happened during my last clear up scare video, and the thing about having YouTube and Twitch is that one starts and one doesn't register, and a little weird thing. But anyways, we're back. Sorry about that momentary interruption. These things happen. And you learn sometimes technology requires some redundancy, especially in ISP. It'd be kind of interesting to see what it's like in the future, where like, so how do an ISP take care of redundancies? That sucked. Anyways, let's continue here. Just describe for being responsible or not.
指
Interesting. And how do I phrase maybe like starting to, or become, maybe like become, begin to, appear like,
须
whoops, I hit the wrong button there. And then what is this? Responsibility. Appoint responsibility. So blame. No. I don't know. To be responsible for. It's responsibility. I swear I typed responsibility. Oh, I might have typed responsible for duty. Just, it's fine.
晚
How did I screw this up? Oh, fine.
补习班
他在补习班教英文。
学费
这所大学的学费很昂贵。
A trellis. Yes. I know you well, my friend. My friend. Pills and hearts and pills and hearts. What does a crossbeam have to do with pills and hearts? No. Oh, no, wait. That's not. Wait, yeah, it is. Wait. Wait. I almost. Wait. Oh, no. It was there. And now it's gone. It's gone. I think the crossbeam is the thing that is most confusing about this. I still want to just no. I don't know yet. Wait, what?
影响，
这篇文章很有影响。
喝咖啡，
他不喝咖啡。
Wait. Oh. Hmm. Oh. Oh, I got it.
孔，
Oh no. Oh no.
抓紧，
抓紧了，别松手。
Hold tight. What? Oh. Uh, obvious to the eye. I still don't know what it is. Like, I have to block this. This is gonna be blocked. Eye-catching, conspicuous. We're just gonna use obviously. Apparent. Yeah, conspicuous is way too out there. Oh, I screwed up. What? Hmm.
设计、
这个建筑物的设计非常现代化。
设计 or oh design. Yeah, to plan the design. I got that. Makes sense. The right one's definitely correct. The left one is not. Because I might be. Hmm.
连环、
连环杀手，
补、炒、嘴、
What? Could have sworn it's like. This is gonna be blocked too, right? Oh, the location is incorrect? Okay, that's fine. So is the infirmary. I can forget the infirmary. That's disappointing. Oh. What? Oh. Hmm.
职业
那是一个很有趣的职业。
That's fine.
传输
网络是一种方便的信息传输工具。
What? Hmm.
井
Turn into transport, like transmission? Oh, I typed the wrong thing there.
二 优
What was it again? Oh wait, am I still trying on this? Oh, conspicuous. Okay.
底层
大楼的底层有家商店。
Or ground level. But bottom level is fine too.
险 运输
他从不搭乘公共运输。
Oh no, I forgot. Oh wait, we're fine.
足 杂
No, I tried. Oh.
防止
防止火灾。
饱满
这些果实看起来非常饱满。
计较
这不值得计较。
Calculations or plan? Maybe estimation? Calculate? I guess probably calculate or something like that. Hmm.
破坏，
这场风暴破坏了许多建筑物。
What damage? Maybe like formulate? He-
训练，
运动员正在紧张训练。
What is this? No, I don't think so. What is that? All right, hold up. I have no idea what that is. Oh, is this how oh no, isn't that? Yeah, I have no idea. Countryside? Oh, I totally messed up. Wait. Did I? Oh, I did. I think this is good. I don't... That's gonna take a while. That's from yesterday. Counting, you're doing... You're estimating, you're formulating, you're design... You're... Gotta be all of the above. Oh, you're fussing. What? To compare? Oh, it wasn't invest. We're blocking that out. That's it's not the second time. It's more than it's happened more than it happened more than one. This one I'm surprised that I got stuck on Chin
农村，
他家在农村，
instead of thinking of Thai. What is Thai? Why do I'm thinking of Thai? Oh. Yeah, the last two, very disappointing. Let's go take a look at them first. So... Ugh, yeah, that was gonna happen. I got stuck on assuming that I got Thai correctly, but it's not. Tsun is... That's funny. That's similar characters doesn't include. Oh, is it because Chun is a vocabulary word? Oh no, it's not. Huh. Intriguing. Those are similar. I gotta remember I don't make that mistake again. And then conspicuous. This conspicuous. Dazzling, eye-catching. Let's look up conspicuous. Standing out has to be clearly visible, obvious. Or easily seen, standing out, easily visible, visible, clear. I could use clear, actually. Observable, discernible, perceptible, detectable, apparent. Yeah, obvious. Okay. There's too many. I think I'm okay with this. We're just gonna end up blocking this one out. So Twin was a problem. Sort of. And then what was the other one? Oh. Compare. Plus. I don't like fuss. Fuss is not gonna last. Discuss, debate. I think we're just gonna stick with debate. Whoops. Discuss. Argue. And it appears that I need to add 2 can offset stuff too. Make it. And how does that work? So you're making a calculated comparison. Yeah, so compare is a little weak. I think the weakness here is you gotta do compare, and Chun of all things. I was just making a comment about that today, about Cupid, right? And I totally forgot. I literally, unironically, made a comparison about Cupid because we have one. It's Cupid, and there it is, Chun. That's so disappointing. All right, let's go over this quickly and call it a day. I have to take a additional day for Japanese lesson in Duolingo. Oh, Do, Chun, Wu, Wei, Ying? Yin? No. Oh yeah. Yen? Yan? I think it's Yan. Or Ying. Oh, I think it ends up defaulting to Ying, right? Or it'll come out as Yang though. Sure. Lin. Ling. Yeah, it would come out as Ying. That's gonna be a rough one. Okay. Oh, sure. Yep. Yeah. 艺术。资一。资间。Right. 苹果。苹果。东亚。歧视。东南亚。头疼。头痛。头痛。一瓶。甜。甜点。中世。中世纪。中世纪。Yeah. Okay. 苹果园。苹果园。Okay. So we have Dracula in a bathroom of the bakery. Famished. Like broke out a can of kidney beans soaked in blood. Soaked in blood to nourish his anemic state, and with a side of croissants. Ugh, this one's kind of gonna be a little rough, but it's dull, so we're fine with that character. So Chun, whoops. This will be what I'm gonna be used to reinforce, right? Chun. So Cupid sneaking into the bathroom, looking for sneaking in the bathroom of the infirmary, looking for a target to shoot because he's all around the infirmary, right? So he shot a caliper at someone who is depressed. Shot a loving arrow, right? Shotting a loving arrow a Chinese he shot a loving arrow, Chinese inch from the person's heart, and enveloped the person with love. So now he's less depressed. The doctor comes in. It's like, oh hey, that's cool. Glad you was able to, the dude, you know, Cupid. And let's just take this out now. Chun, sometimes he also hangs out in the tree outside of, oh my word. He also hangs out in front of the infirmary sometimes, shooting calipers too. Right? Chun and the villagers, or the village people, shooting calibers at the village people outside the infirmary. That's one of them. Then we have Walter White, who keeps getting placed in the house, which I guess that's fine. But I typically place Walter White in the bakery. Oh, because the O in bakery might not. No, it's optional. So whether it's in the bakery or the house, all the woos will be okay. He grabbed the thing he was baking in the basement, the cauldron in the basement. He brought it up inside the bakery, right? Inside the bakery, and then loaded the baked goods because he's no longer cooking. He's more of a baker now. So he emptied to make sure that nothing's in the cauldron anymore by moving the croissants that he was making onto the shelves, right? I think that's okay. It's related to Wu. Because of its relation to Wu, it's okay. I still think I'm incredibly disappointed that I mixed up Chun Chun with I. So upset. I'm so triggered at myself right now. Okay, Walter White is sneaking off to the bathroom of the beach house while his family is chilling on the beach, right? And he's working on a baking project as opposed to cooking the good stuff, you know? And he's just slowly baking some yeast, and they're just waiting. Not yet, right? The yeast needs to be fed, so he's taking ingredients. He's taking some petals from a blossoming tree that he's been cultivating, and then spiking the yeast. Just not yet, waiting on the yeast for his baking pivot, his career pivot in baking. That's like the new narrative for Walter White at this point. Now we have Yoshi. Okay. So Yoshi is in the infirmary, or has escaped to the basement of the infirmary because he doesn't want to take his medicine. Dr. Mario has followed him and chased him down to the basement. In order to defend himself, Yoshi somehow operated a bow and inserted a rod, right? Combined with like an egg, like a makeshift bow with a rod, and started drawing the bow to launch eggs at Mario. He failed. He failed, and Mario got him sedated, right? It's fine. On the goodness of preserving Yoshi's health. Then we have Shrek making his way down the basement of the house. This one's kind of weird. Maybe in the basement of a magical house, like something straight out of a fairy tale, like a DreamWorks fairy tale, a magical house. And this magical house happens to have a walking broom, right? A walking broom with a mouth. And what do these magical fairy tale broom houses do? They obviously aren't sinister. It's just telling you the history of the broom people. Yes. That seems fine. And Shrek is trying his darndest to care, right? He's an ogre after all. And then we have Link in the infirmary, where he came down with an illness, and in order to make himself at home, he's built a place with multiple trees, right? Multiple trees that reminds him of the woods, of Deku Woods, right? So yeah, Chun, and what was the other one that just like couldn't quite resolve it? Chun and right, it was Nong. Right, Nong Chun. Or village or rural area. And the other one was less disappointing. Now I don't remember it. It's already gone. I did also messed up Shun. Got fixated. What was the vocabulary? Shun, Shun. Like instructions. No. Fine. Yeah, I don't remember. Shin. I don't remember. Training. I keep saying practice, but Shin Lia. Shin Lia. Lian is okay. Just practice. But training practice. What was the last thing? I don't know. Disappeared from my mind so quickly. responsibility was a little bit weak too. So change maybe like 责场 no 责任 All right, it's been a long day. I was going to do my Duolingo Japanese section, but we'll push that off to tomorrow because tomorrow is gonna be a half day. Oh man, tomorrow might be level up day too, but we'll see. I think I'm gonna try to start early. We'll push off the level up day so I can squeeze in something, squeeze in this next lesson. All right, folks, there you have it. That's the end. The end was a little bit, I think I got thrown off my groove when the heckin' internet, the ISP, broke my train of thought. Very disappointing that I can't remember what the character was. It's fine. I'll probably find out right after the stream. Okay. There you have it. End of HanziHero. Thanks for hanging out. If you're gonna watch this later, 谢谢. As always, much like the digression today in WaniKani and HanziHero, I think there's a lot to be connecting and understanding when it comes to like observing others, right? And observing yourself. Like, hey, what does this person do? Like, oh, that's interesting. And asking why and how a lot of times kind of reveal a lot about the self. So learning a language nowadays have made me realize quite a lot of things that I've gotten so used to having been on the internet for quite some time, right? And then there are things that are vastly different, in my opinion, between myself and the people I talk to. So if any of this stuff is interesting, I really welcome anyone who has their own take on the current behavioral models and how they go about learning. Did you learn? It'd be interesting to exchange all the different ideas that while learning something, once again, right? Not a lot of people choose to learn another language at a much later time. Curious if anything came about, like new observations about yourself or about other people. I think that's part of the experience. I like looking at how other people study and learn as a process of enriching my ways of studying and learning. I truly do believe that the paradigm for learning has changed so significantly to the point that I'm not entirely sure if all the current trends in language learning is largely because there's an absence of those learning methods, not necessarily because they somehow are substantially more superior and or consistent than others. I genuinely think one of the bottom lines of things when it comes to learning, this was taken from like the WaniKani digression, exploration of new things allow one to be intellectually invested, intellectually curious, and learning a new thing, especially a very challenging thing that's for a lifetime, like language learning, promotes that idea. So much like being aware of video games normalizing specific behavior, like how do you talk to someone? How do you know when something's good? There are different ways to measure that. Many of the conveniences that we may experience today also alleviates the necessity to understand how they affect us or normalize us, right? How often have you made a purchase based on other metrics other than that aggregate score or rank that you have on an item. Also, contextually relevant to the whole gaming thing and the stockholder comment and whatnot that Procol brought up, how much of that can be manipulated, potentially misrepresented unintentionally, and or used pragmatically in order to get you to make decisions. I think oftentimes when you grow up in a chamber, an echo chamber of your own creation, oftentimes it becomes quite apparent when you ask yourself, when was the last time you made a decision that took into consideration what you have done previously, your prior experience, as opposed to unconditionally trusting someone else? And then how often does that person or the organization that's presenting your solutions take into account the behavior and current situations of their consumers? I think oftentimes, I know I've been saying oftentimes quite a bit because I can't assure you that it's all the time. I would say anecdotally, nowadays it's a lot more striking to use strong language like all, guaranteed, never. You're saying oftentimes quite a bit. I just realized when I said that. Yeah, fair enough. So I'm using it as an affirmative. However, there are things that happen less likely nowadays. Making a decision while weighing your prior experience, right? How does that happen often? Not that often. When you learn something, it feels you have other people to provide all that experience, or sufficient experience in which it alleviates you from requiring any of that experience. So you can purchase a 5090, like save all the money to purchase a 5090 tomorrow so you can hit up all the gaming things that other people say they use 5090s for. Was there any consideration as to your use cases for the 5090? Or simply that the best card allows you to do the thing you're doing, and you're assuming that all the other things people say are relevant to you, right? And that is an act of extreme decision making. You like a game and you're purchasing a game on its promise, as opposed to purchasing a game integrating your previous experiences and what you can already do with the game on top of the promises. And that is not, in my opinion, how the gaming industry, for example, and products in app design for language learning is also a great example. The newish norm or business practice is often the business understands what is trending and then make a product to address that demand. Rarely, in my opinion, nowadays, the business is doing it because they can to improve things. So if you're looking at examples, I would love to hear very clear examples of the like the inverse, right? The converse. For now, though, when we think about companies and apps and whatnot, they are designed to confirm all of the suspicions that you have. I don't necessarily think they present opportunities or vast opportunities on how to encourage someone to think even beyond that, or to create something beyond something that they can supply. Case in point, creating dependency on a product is great for business. It is the utmost focus, in my opinion, on how a product stays successful. You create dependency. So, am I going to be using HanziHero for the foreseeable journey of my language learning? I could say yes, but not because HanziHero offers all the functionality that is required of me. I may revisit HanziHero or use the tools in HanziHero to create something of my own. And that's great because actually some of HanziHero's design choice allows that. It doesn't inherently encourage you to do that. So that's kind of a talking point. However, video games are very similar in that nature. When you play a game, in order to be successful, for example, in a team-oriented game, you want your team to consistently, wherever you go into, you want your team to consistently perform in which you have an edge, right? However, the design of games now are catering to providing metrics to allow players to consistently think that the way to win a team game is to rely on the self. I'm not sure if that's intentional or not. However, the demand is there. So feed more metrics to a player to confirm their suspicions, right? As opposed to enforcing or bucking or encouraging alternative play styles, right? And what does that end up happening? It's usually very disfavorable. The moment a game requires that team play is necessary for winning, right, in any way, that's usually the majority find that incredibly unattractive. That's a great way to demonstrate the market interest. I think in the days of the internet, even language learning apps like this, the most attractive types of language learning apps or games or gamification, those type of things, they usually cater to individuals who are avoiding human contact. It's very negotiable and it's very pragmatic that you don't have to rely or be engaging with an unpredictable factor in all of this, right? Like talking to a native speaker is an even extraordinary factor where you actually have to find someone in an age where it's constantly telling you that you don't have to. And then you're going to, and then you do that, but you didn't necessarily spend all the time interacting with someone. So then that's a development, a development skill that you may have. For myself, I talk about this every day. Like, it doesn't matter if I have to speak English or whichever target language. The idea is the most normal thing for me to do is either talk to myself or talk to someone else, whoever is interested, and I would double down on it. Mark started the day in WaniKani. I spent about 3 hours talking about my routine in WaniKani. Protocol stops by and raised a point, contribute a point, and I talk about that. And they can chime in, go out, in and out all the time. It's actually the social norm that I have. Now, Twitch is not designed to do that, honestly. YouTube is not designed to do that as well. There are definitely changing times where they're increasing the level of interactability between people. But generally speaking, when it comes to scaling, the internet has an enormous, a very obvious, a scaling standard, like a standard practice of scaling. And in order to scale a lot of these things, you start relying on statistics and data. So one of the natural consequences, in my opinion, of data is subjectivity. And I mean, I think that's fairly agreeable to anyone who loves data and suggests that data can tell everything and can teach people empathy and teach people to read nuances in language exchange and cultural exchange. I'm sure there are quite a lot of people out there who wants to believe that is sufficient. I personally find that a little contentious, but I welcome individuals who are professional speakers or public speakers and public figures, you know, PR people, those who are professionally in a field that deals with public relations and or interacting with humans, to give me a provocative example or anecdote or evidence that you can statistically use objective data in order to practice being empathetic and or increasing your communication skills. There is an exception, and that's the communication with yourself, but it also involves recording yourself and evaluating yourself over time, right? You can be your harshest critic. You can record yourself and have dialogues and present things and see where your cadence is, right? What your hand gestures are, that type of thing can be very self-evaluating. So you yourself could also evaluate your human connection. But generally speaking, I don't think that is very substantial in the way that video games are creating that type of problem solving, or the lack of. Alternatively, exploring the arts, right? Exploring the arts allows one to become intuitively connected to either themselves or someone else. Now, there is the big looming idea of AI. That's going to be a topic for another time. That AI can create a facsimile. I'll leave with this hot take about AI. I think for those that I'm not talking about, so the creators out there, the ones that are very much in the minority, where they're doing whatever music creation, art creation, creative work of their own regards, you know, carrying most of their experience, expressing most of their experience, and writing, recording, creating legacy. I'm not necessarily referring to those individuals, but to them, that group, right? Earlier, my comments aren't necessarily referring to this group. This group, when they see, I would like to think, when they see something, they're more concerned about the credibility that's being stolen from them. For example, like the whole AI art thing and AI music and whatnot. But the one concern that is being projected onto them by individuals is the concern about not being able to stand out, right? Like their future job securities. I don't think that is the case. When you think about AI, you think about all the statistical limitations of AI, right? And what I mean by that is it's not that dissimilar from someone who only operates on averages, only operates exclusively on data. Like, okay, this is a beautiful picture because it is the average of all the popular picture techniques here. So I'm going to draw, like, hey, I want to be a great artist. I'm going to use a tool that focuses on integrating all the averages of the current trends or whatever is most popular. It becomes very noticeable. However, where they got that data is the product of expressive people and creative people already. So they kind of want their share, right? Their cut. When they are thinking about if they're going to get replaced by something that is generatively objective, usually that's a tougher thing to defend as a concern for someone who is actively interacting with other human beings and being connected with their own human self. So when it comes to learning, take it back to language learning, for example, am I concerned that I will become reliant on a tool that does something unnatural? No, I am not. Much like when I start next month, or attempt to start next month, trying to use LLMs, AI, people are referring to it as generically as AI, part of the AI movement. My goal to interact with the AI is to ensure that I am also constructing and creating something in the process. And this isn't an argument about input or output. The idea is one practice distinguishing themselves from something that is a statistical average. So when you start doing that often, I feel you don't have to be analytical to be intuitive about being able to relate to things, right? You relate to your work, you relate to your language when you use them for your use case. Now, it might not look like the other people who are statistically harvesting and data mining techniques, right? I don't think that's a very compelling selling point for myself as an illustration. I think it's a compelling selling point for other people. Hey, my product has 4.5 stars in 47,000 people and has been successful in 90%. It's like that's the beginning. That's the start. May I ask you what your visions are and what is your philosophy behind your product? Because for me, the act of language and learning and curiosity that I choose voluntarily is dependent on the person creating the product. Now, there are individuals who do that. Like, oh, I really like this guy. I trust this guy. How much do you know about the person? Is the person transparent about it? Because in my opinion, that is what creates that level of subjectivity that makes things a lot more vibrant, right? And a lot more useful, in my opinion, when it comes to decision making in the matter of taste. Now, you can't go to your bank and say, well, if someone moves to Japan or moves to China and then just surround themselves and obligate themselves to learn, they will learn very fast. I agree. I absolutely agree, for sure. If you force someone to do teamwork in a cooperative game, then they will probably learn very fast to learn how to do teamwork. Everyone who's forced to play a video game that requires teamwork, right? So that's kind of an extreme example. So when you're thinking about learning, language learning, yes, most things are incredibly efficient the moment you force the person to do that. Kind of like going to school, right? So objectivity, when it comes to voluntary actions, things you pay for, things you enjoy, things you like, things you want to make friends with, are you telling me that that is the normal behavior to force something on a human being in order to make them voluntarily want to do that? The answer is, I like to believe the answer is a resounding no. A big no. So when it comes to games, language learning, and the success of that, they are catered to target the insecurities or the deficiencies of that person. Your buyers, your consumers, are demanding something you are fulfilling. So if I am a consumer of HanziHero and it works really, really well, I would sit down and think about what is it that HanziHero is doing for me that is working so well. Because ultimately, in order to know how it works, or if I invest in how it works, I can also take it with me. I can also know where to look next time. I can also improve upon it. So when I'm playing a team-based game, right, or like Overwatch, I typically, if you're the DPS, go for the kills, but I want to do better than that, right? Or at least in my opinion, I want to entertain something better than that. What if I could observe my teammates, but at the same time do the same thing, right? That, in my opinion, is something that is not a social norm anymore. And that's what I was emphasizing today, connecting the WaniKani rant and the HanziHero game thing. I think nowadays, confirmation is the most common way people learn. They learn by confirming their suspicions, largely because most products do the same thing. They start by telling you what you want, and if it's not what you want, then you leave. You don't buy the product. So all the large consumer base of most products are confirmation. It's a confirmation bias. You're not forced to do anything ever. Things are very convenient on the internet, and you're selected based on pre-selection. So the vast majority, whether you're like me or not, you're not picking a product because you're curious if it works or not. You're picking a product because they've already convinced you think the product works. And then if it doesn't work, emotional upheaval, emotional distraught problems, distrust, mistrust. So, oh yeah, this product guaranteed that I would learn 2,000 kanji in a year and a half. That's something that's unique to WaniKani, right? And then they find out it took them 6 years to learn 200 kanji. It's like, what gives? Am I doing something wrong? Is something going wrong? And what you end up finding is those people who are human, who have experience, they typically say, oh, don't worry, like, that's only in this ideal case. Keep at it, do these things. So those are the human, very human way of interacting. And I love language learning for that aspect. The idea that I can still see people exchanging ideas, concerning themselves and thinking about the situations that the person having problems may be experiencing, and then how it differs from them. That's what my plug is for language learning. But I don't think video games do that most of the time. Like, when was the last time someone said, we won, and then you're reflecting on, I wonder if my victory, how I feel about my victory, is the same as that person I carried. No, probably not. So I think games have normalized that type of behavior. So when someone goes and offer advice, the best thing that they know about is themselves. And then when they provide advice, it defaults to their expectations instead of collecting human data, like collecting anecdotal ways of adding to your perceptions. Like, I still to this day admit and concede that I rely on these statistical behaviors, these pattern behaviors. I try to keep myself accountable by either confirming or denying some of that stuff. So just 2 days ago, someone made a comment about how they hate Duolingo, or they downplay Duolingo's gamification. And my first thought was, I wonder how far this goes. Maybe I'll ask them so that they can have an opportunity to present an exception. But whether it confirms again and again and again, I don't necessarily think someone who is in touch with understanding human interactions would give themselves the leeway or the convenience of saying, oh, okay, you're just like everyone else that I know. So let's do that same thing. Let's do the same rodeo again. Like, okay, guys, you want to know the secret to learning a language? Move to that country, immerse. Well, if you're going around doing that, I'm probably not one of those people that are going to fit your data set, right? And that's kind of funny because in the future, I actually think AI will not be centralized anymore. And then I'm curious how humans are going to interact with non-centralized AI. For now, AI is somewhat centralized. So when they're centralized, it's suggesting that all the AI is directly in competition with each other in the sense that they are trying to capture the same value, right? The same perspectives, the same data set. But it's already happening. In another 30, maybe like another, by the end of this year, I can imagine that there will be at least 5 or 6 different proprietary AI, and they have divisively diverged from each other. So then all these human experiences and whatnot that I'm talking about with critical thinking problem solving will have to come back into play, right? It's already happening now when someone says, oh, Gemini hallucinates more than ChatGPT 4.3 or something. And then 4.3 kind of do things different from 4.1. Those are incarnations of selective data setting, right? When you have different data sets and you curate and you enrich for specific data sets, that kind of represents your diversification and diversity in human, well, a facsimile of human spuriousness. Nowadays, I don't think that's attractive. So the consumer who is not involved in the creative process and or critical thinking problem solving, like creative process that involves critical thinking problem solving, do not have to concern themselves with that. They prefer consistency. If you're paying $80 for a video game, it's got to deliver $80 of value. What that looks like is consistent to the singular person. Like they know what $80 mean to them. And when they make a comment and make a decision, it's about their standards. Whether they are concerned with other people's standards of $80 or not is up to statistics. So when a bunch of people agree that $80 is too much for video games, then businesses will react accordingly, right? If you happen to disagree with the masses, you don't matter. That's how statistics work, right? You get drowned out by statistical averages. So much like most things, your performances and stuff are void of the individual interactions. If you somehow decided that you think you're very important one day and the statistics say you aren't, how do you recover from that? How do you improve from that? I think I've been around enough youth to realize that what they do is they decide to either give up on that very thing and move on to something else because they believe they know it's going to happen because statistics say so. So as opposed to looking at things from potential or collective, right? Most people nowadays provide advice in the sense of one fits all. Like, it's kind of really ironic in this way. I think one of my biggest criticisms or shortcomings of the design of formal education is that they have a scalability problem. When formal education was the standard, I suppose, I'm not even sure if formal education is still the standard nowadays. they have a scaling problem. If you're going to educate entire nations, how do you create a model that will account for the spuriousness of human entry? Because it's obligatory. If you force an entire population to go through a system, that system has to meet averages, right? So there are going to be people who fail, there are going to be people who overexceeds, and then there are average, right? It's indiscriminate. It's a single model fits all. And the irony here is, while a lot of people have championed self-voluntary education, the results of hyper optimization is that no, everyone seemingly like to force each other to learn the exact same way conditionally, right? Or now this time requiring voluntary obligation. So if you're, it's kind of humorous when I hear someone who says they really hate school, and then they spend most of their day going around telling people how to learn, and the one way to learn is the only good way to learn. That's school. You have undermined anyone who learns differently from you, and then you have pushed yourself into a corner that there's only one way to be successful. So you can't possibly imagine, and I'm not saying that this is any singular person, I hope no one's really taking this personally. I'm talking about the hypothetical pattern behavior that's happening. You have people have different degrees of this type of hyperpolarization. Like, this is the best game. You'll never be able to play a game better than this ever again. So when you go and play another game, you can't possibly enjoy that game anymore because you're always reflecting upon the one size fits all. Like, you cannot see differences and appreciate differences anymore. Duolingo is exactly like watching anime, so therefore anime is better. They're very, very different. What I like about HanziHero is very different from what I like about WaniKani. And they could be the same to a lot of people. Like, you're doing the same thing for both, right? No, I'm not. Unless somehow whatever I'm doing here is exactly the same as WaniKani. I like to believe it's not. Video games, decision making, you know, spending $400 on a GPU is the same as spending $400 on a CPU. Because they all will end up in a PC anyways. There's a lesson on the rate limiting step and or the weakest link. So when you're thinking about optimizing, oftentimes a very, very good method can be completely negated by a very weak shortcoming. And one of the biggest ones in language learning and cooperative gameplay is the incentive to do so, right? I think that's one thing that reveals what the intent of video game design and app design. If they are intending to make you develop the skills as to not be dependent on their service, there will be, in my opinion, obvious ways that you can either intuit that and or analytically see it. So when you're using a tool, in my opinion, is very healthy to understand what the tool is doing for you, as to ascertain what to look for in the future or what not to look for in the future. So if you don't like Duolingo, give me the indication, or at least if you're telling me to avoid Duolingo, explain to me what is it that you disagree with in great detail, and then show that it is absent in the tool that you're using. Otherwise, I would say it's a great disservice Not necessarily to me, because I don't necessarily get swayed by anyone who challenges my insecurities or my strengths, but I think it can be a potential disservice for those who are not used to making those decisions anymore, right? I could sit here and build clout and influence, and then whatever I say is taken as gospel, which that sounds so scary. So I don't want to make it sound like whatever I'm saying now is the absolute truth. It's absolutely not. It is my anecdotal experience and expression. So for today, I just wanted to make it clear, whatever I said in WaniKani and stuff, it's an avenue to explore. So much like how I end most of my segments, you're more than welcome to offer your anecdotal observations, your own experiences, and then how you tackle decision making and whatnot on the things you've encountered. I miss this. I really do miss this. I think being in college and in university where you have to do this has often led to really wonderful discussions in critical thinking. Like, 3 people could be complaining about different things about the aspect of their research, and because they have to, they often integrate and converse with other people in order to innovate or think differently about tackling their problems, right? Because they have to. In a world of the internet, you don't have to do anything. You don't even have to talk to people. You don't even have to defend yourself. So naturally, the easiest thing, in my opinion, is what humans do. If you don't have to talk to a human because you think it's hard, then you don't. So the next time if someone asks you, why do you think talking to other people is very difficult? Or maybe if you ask me, do I think you communicate very well? Well, there's probably a lot of signs in which you probably don't. And I think one of the things is, how often do you record yourself, listen to yourself, talk to other people, or talk to other people? There are a lot of ways to compensate for that, perhaps. You can watch other people interact with each other. That's a great source for language learning, right? You see 2 people talking to each other. That's fair. How often is that interesting, right? Anyways, I'm being pedantic today, but I wanted to add a little bit more at the end, and be it as a plug. You're more than welcome to share some experiences, but I would like to ask a personal favor. I hope it is your experience, your thinking, your problem solving. If there's anything I want to demonstrate about feeling pride or learning because you really want to learn something, is largely because the thing I'm doing, I invest in all the things that make me me while taking in information from other people. So if you want to be a contrarian and prove that I am incorrect, go do it, right? Go out there, do it. Post your non-WaniKani, non-HanziHero, not using Anki, and find a way to demonstrate your methods, because in my opinion, that is what's very awesome about the internet. Not necessarily the internet that's hypercompensating for subjective noise, right? Highly efficient internet is when everyone does the same thing. You want everyone to do the same thing. If you see everyone doing the same thing, it makes you confident about your methods. So when you see no one using Duolingo, you are confident that no one is suffering, or you are confident that you not doing Duolingo or using Duolingo is the right decision, right? Well, you don't really need to do that. I literally encountered people who go out of their way to spend most of their time negating what other people are doing passionately, be it business, making money, whatever they're passionate about, instead of demonstrating proactively what they are doing that is so much better than the competition. I think the people who are doing that are also the same people making money and balancing things. So if you're going around saying you're doing it wrong, do it right. Like, in my opinion, I think that's very logical from someone who relies on confirmation bias. In order to prove someone wrong or someone's doing it wrong, do it right and then show it. Because I think that ties in everything else. What is a great way to end this? Clear obscure. Do it right. And people will realize, at least in my opinion, are likely to realize. Clear obscure said, this is what it's like to make a game like this. And then it turns the industry on its head. Or you would think colorfully it may turn the industry on its head. And that is the same with language learning, in my opinion. If you're constantly preaching something, but not demonstrating something, I think that's what the internet is built on now. There's more talking, there's more obfuscating, like not showing. I would even argue there's even less talking, as in less explaining in the sense of demonstrating the methodology than talking for empty promises. So I almost feel like there's far more conning and opportunism than there is just blatant demonstration. Like, I like to think for every one person who wants the quick paycheck, there is at least this is terrible. Like 100 people who want a paycheck, there's at least 2 or 3 people who are doing it because they like demonstrating it, right? And that's probably where I'll leave it. I like to believe that I'm one of them, right? Sorry if people think that's too much of a flex, but I prefer to give up that opportunity in order to instruct one person or inspire one person. If I can inspire one person, that person may be the reason that this paradigm shifts. Like, you never know. You never know that me saying whatever one thing is, and then this person's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make it happen. I'm gonna change the way language learning is by making a product that does it. And there are plenty of older hats, I would say, in my opinion, with all due respect, that are kind of out of touch with considering what the normal way or like the normalized way people think about right now. Like, sure, you can tell them, enforce yourself, discipline yourself, do this and that, but adherence is so spurious because they don't live in this generation, and I don't either, really. I try to. This is as much as I can get. So hopefully good luck with your language journey, but the door is open. I would love to hear a compelling expert go about their days, or even someone who studies that type of thing. All right, folks, that's it for me today. Good luck, stay safe, right? For those who are interested in Chinese of any nature, right? 大家下次见. See you next time. Stay safe, stay healthy. Catch you guys on the next one. Bye bye.